What's up, everybody? It's Dom here. We're going to be jumping in talking about Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. It's going to be a long video. Just sit back and relax, and let's go through this, okay, guys? So there's a lot to take in here with TEW 2020. A lot of criticisms, both valid, a little exaggerated. You gotta remember though, I think the biggest criticism from 2013 to 2016 was that it was the same game, just a little bit more, and you're paying that $35. 2016 to 2020 feels like a brand new game, new installment. Even though it's still Total Extreme Wrestling, it's kind of like from EWR to 20 or from EWR to TEW. Here it kind of feels like a TEW MMA hybrid essentially. It feels like its own little beast, and I know that can be very intimidating for a lot of people. I've gotten words from people who are completely new, never played the game, people who are veterans, and not only that, but people who are like ADD in that regard, and they've given me their opinions and be like, there's just too much of certain things. So kicking off the game here, I didn't have too many problems going through converting databases. I'm not a mod maker, so I can't give my opinion on this, but the fact that scrolling really needs to be implemented is just one thing very much in particular that I hope gets addressed. Now, like I said, this, guys, I'm going to stress this a couple times during this video. This is not a review of the whole game. I'm only going to be talking about the demo in particular and my thoughts. I have played through the 2 months as ROH. I have pre-taped shows. I've seen how things have worked for pre-taping and on like live. I have done NXT pit up against AEW on the Wednesday Night Wars and how that's done. I've done Cornellverse. I'm not too big on the Cornellverse. I don't think the January Flash database worked too well for this. But the War of the Immortals dub build that I was using was kind of like a happy medium between a really low figures for like stats and something exuberantly high and whatnot. So I've got some playtime in this game, in this demo. I've mostly been on public beta number 2, crunching it out all throughout the day. So that's why I wasn't live streaming too much the prior. But the first day I did show like beta build number 1. There was a lot more crashes. I think I might have had like 1 crash on the beta build number 2, and if that, it wasn't anything like big. So guys, let's just get into here. So yeah, mod maker side of things, they'll have a lot more experience on that, but I can see like mass editing and stuff. There's still stuff that like people have been requesting for in the forums and suggestions. Also left clicking and right clicking, some people are also, it's not, apparently people like it's at the very top, and people instantly just jump in and they're like, so much text on the screen, they're not reading every little thing. I think that'll be a big problem here. And on the top right, there's this handy dandy guide on everything in the game. Everything is a very extensive guide, and I even asked Adam. I was like, hey, I can't find this in the handbook, like, can you help me find this? And I was like, he was like, yeah, here's where it's at, here's where to find the exact spot for it. Really helpful in that regard. And there's a lot in the handbook. TEW 2016 didn't have as much for a handbook, but TEW 2020 does, and it does need it. Like, you're gonna be asking a lot of questions in this game, and trying to figure and make sense of stuff. So with that, let's just jump in here. So skins, pretty much the same. I'm already using a blue and gold one, so hopefully this will help you guys to see things a little bit better. Honestly, from the monochrome for it, I mean, I kind of, let's just stick with the default right now and show you guys like what it looks like if you'd use it base. I'm not going to be doing a full review on Cornellverse because that's not what I jump into and am I gravitating towards, and I think a majority of people either. I think they see a great foundation for a real world simulation, essentially, whether it's historical or fictional, or everything with like superheroes, or a what if universe, or modern day saves, or a certain time period. So just anything in between. I think more of that modded side's bigger. We're going to go into databases and make sure we're on my War of the Immortals one here. And we're going to go here to the demo ROH, and we can see that I've gone through here. If I sim up, it's going to yell at me. It's like, you've done everything you can. Just wait now. Right off the bat here, we got our normal day-to-day screen. I've made it known in a previous video that I don't like how the default skin pack features the Canalverse people. It didn't do that in 2016. That's just more of a preference thing. I think here it's not too bad on the bottom. I think this is gonna be an overlying problem, is that you tend to look at the bottom a lot, whereas before you look straight dead on a little bit to the right in TEW 2016. Here you're looking straight at the bottom for a lot of useful information. And the quick side stuff here on the bottom, I feel like is really helpful, but people maybe are very intimidated when they go to their office screen and they're just like, they're seeing everything. And I asked some buddies with ADD, and they just instantly saw like that's just where it's like really things start devolving and people losing track of what they need to do in a TEW game. So all this stuff's still pretty self-explanatory, most popular battles, all of that. We're not losing anything there. The articles are pretty much the same. I've seen some really fun ones where it's like people getting kicked out of factions and joining factions. I think that's pretty cool. I haven't seen any like formed factions, but I think I have actually. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that one, actually. I think I might have seen one, but that would be cool to really highlight even more type of interesting articles. So in terms of settings, you can also change your most useful stuff on the bottom, which is really nice. Now decisions doesn't have a pop-up anymore, so when you do day to day and it's like boom, there's something, an event there's not that, which is really annoying. But because it's glowing, you'll be like, oh, on the bottom right there's something going on. There's also the in-game editor, which is nice. You can mess through there. Let me move my camera real quick. You guys can see some stuff here. Preferences. There's a lot of preferences on this one. By the way, if you guys are unable to scroll in some parts or use your arrow keys, turn off enable new style color list. I'm gonna be honest, I have not gotten really any use out of that. And turn on enable drag and drop booking mode. By default, it's turned off. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's me personally saying that I'm so used to drag and drop booking, but I really enjoyed that. I've actually gotten used to doing the main event at the top now and booking in reverse. Booking from the top down, whereas in TW I'd book from the opening all the way up, or pre-show all the way up. So now I'm getting used to that. It's switched for me essentially. There's no numbers going down for positions, which is really annoying. Scouting's pretty cool. I know some of my friends aren't the biggest when it comes to, if I look at a wrestler and I say, hey, Darby Allin, for instance, here, it has a range in his stats, and they're not the fanciest of that, and they don't really prefer that too much, but you guys are able to go through and disable that and see the exact number for them. So let's speak a little bit of the screen here. We have status, the places they can work. Looks pretty nice here. You see wrestler. You're actually able to go and talk to the wrestler, which is pretty dope. Even though I'm playing as ROH and I have nothing to do with Darby Allin, I can still be like, yo, retire. And he'll be like, I don't want to retire. Or I can be like, yo, you ever thought being a personality? He'll be like, no, not really. I can ask him to be anything. he might take, and I can ask him to start working in areas. He'll tell me he's not interested. I can tell him to start working gimmicks, different styles, which is really cool. I can ask him to decrease his size, and I can influence wrestlers who I don't have hired, which is really interesting. And you can say, hey, do some steroids, so you can even influence them in negative ways too. So I like the attribute system. We could spend days talking about this. Actually, it's really cool, and how there's a lot of attributes. People person, mercenaries, people who are going to be more likely to befriend people, go into business for themselves, people who are going to kind of be preachy, people who are going to be standoffish and loners, people who are going to be just very intrusive, people who are going to be backstabbing. There's just a ton of attributes, and I think that is the bread and the butter. That is the bee's knees. That is the stuff in TEW 2020. If there is one thing that TEW 2020 is going to be a major selling factor for, it is attributes. Put that one down. Take it to the bank. Attributes is fun. It's amazing. It's great. So I would definitely say you guys will love how your characters and wrestlers evolve as you play. It's not going to be, I'm playing a 98 save. Shawn Michaels is doing drugs and he's a jerk to everybody, and he's going to stay that way all the way till 2015. No, it's going to evolve and change, which is really nice. I've even seen it change in the demo within 2 months. Now, taking this, if I go through and do a whole year-long save, which is what I plan on doing, to give a full overview, review, and opinion of the game, I think that's where it'll really shine and say, well, this guy started off at the beginning of the year as a jerk. Now he's everyone's best friend. He's turned around. Or this guy started off and was so good, but he's been influenced by these guys, and now he's doing drugs, and he's doing all these things. I think it'll be really cool to see how that how all that does. Employment's a little bit different. Hot dog and handshake deals, crazy. When you negotiate, there's no slider, which is it drove me crazy at first, but now I'm kind of getting goofy with the pay. I'm like, here's $42.50. Here's $1.50. Here's $1.20. I'm just joking there. I'm just I'm just giving out what it's probably recommending. Ironclad contracts, pretty much essential. You need them so they don't just walk out. And those all can be done for written deals. At first, I was making it sound like there was going to be a pay per appearance, written deal, and then there was going to be an exclusive written deal, and then the handshake. It makes it say there's going to be a bunch of these different offers. Pay per appearance is essentially just been renamed to handshake deal, in all honesty. And exclusive handshake was exclusive PPA. So I don't know really. Handshake sounds funnier and goofier. Just gonna say that. The best part about contracts, honestly, is the ongoing deal, so I can just never have to worry about 3 months later, I forgot to resign this guy. It's merchandise cuts, also pretty cool. So he'll get a percentage of his merch. I think that's pretty cool. Honestly, if you could see how much wrestlers have stockpiled in money, and then if they stockpile so much money, they can make their own company because they've made so much money through merch or running the indies or running big time company, or not running, but being in big time companies and all that. That'd be cool. Just an extra thing later, TWs down the line probably, but. This tells you, stuff to reject, how much they're worth. There's some stuff that'll get lost, I've talked about before. If we go to our office screen, we're going to talk about this one, guys. If I go over here, contract deals, that's where you're going to be able to find where to release somebody. Contracts just looks like utter hell. And this is not where we're going to be able to do anything contract-wise, actually, with a wrestler, which is kind of weird. it essentially is where you were seeing like how long someone has and like how much you're paying them. Like, I feel like that would be where you'd want to be able to fire somebody, or negotiate. Negotiates here, it's on the table. If you're a developmental company, you aren't going to be able to negotiate with the people who they've brought down to you or you're having to work with, which is realistic and really cool. Developmental companies is another thing right up there with attributes, very high up there of like, if you want to play as developmental companies, it is fun. It is great. I've done NXT. It's a challenge, but like, in all honesty, like, with kind of how hard it's been running ROH, running XT has been fun because it's like, I am like the golden goose child of WWE, and I can just spend all their money away and do all this stuff and not have to worry about a budget. I'm just going and making them stars essentially, which is really cool. So I think that is another big selling point for TEW 2020. We're going to talk about some negatives, but for positives, attributes, developmental companies right there. As you guys may have noticed here, speaking of negatives, there's no letter grades now. What the heck? I'm a big fan of having the letters and the numbers in the pick packs. Now I'm like, how does that not get like even going to be a thing now? Like, how's it going to work? So yeah, it's just like, I'm just like, what the heck? We can see there's some more stuff here. We got, where is it? I think there's like experience. It wasn't there before. We still have some skills. You can see the business skills and all that now on these. So if we click on skills, we'll be able to go. We compare them to people. We can see that how they've progressed, which is pretty nice. So it looks like our dude's actually like it's either shortening inside range or he's actually like losing it. It looks like. So, but when you're booking before in TEW 2016, you could see how much a wrestler is progressing, and now you can't, which is really annoying. Like, if I'm in a match and it's like this guy progressed because of how well he wrestled, it doesn't say that anymore. So now you really need to go into the skills thing here, and I could see where where it says a toned lightweight wrestler with 4 years of experience who works as a high flyer. That's cool. I like that, but some of my friends might say that's a little too wordy. So, it's one of those things where, sadly some people lose out on that. It's, for instance, the UI is something where some people can't even run the game because of, like, they have laptops that have, are limited on the resolution. So there's just some, like, health-wise, yellow or gold is the new perfect, light blue for TEW 2016 veterans or whatever. You're not able to see, like, the actual body picture and, like, how it's degrading or going back, and it would be cool to see, like, if they're recovering. You do see old injuries they've caused, current injuries. So wrestler wise, there's a lot more, in particular, making your wrestler feel like someone you can talk to, and I think that's really cool. I think that's very important here. I'm not going to go and show every single screen. Like I said, you guys can jump in here, form your own opinions for the demo. You guys have just as much access to it as I do. And you can, it's pretty much the full game, except for you can't go past March, the 2 months. Something interesting to bring up, by the way, in the WMMA demos, they were saying, is that you can play any 2 months of any time. That's not the case here. It has to be January and February. So, interesting choices. From what I would imagine, kind of like the same engine or base foundation structure. So I don't really know why in some cases, some things how they are, but It is what it is, guys, in some regards. Something cool, though, is that when we go to companies, and then, that's not companies, where are my companies at? Dojos, we gotta go here. It's still looking at all these icons. We can check relationships and negotiate. We can actually ask other companies. We can give them cash boosts. We can give them friendly attitudes. We can have wrestlers go on excursions there. So if they're in a different region, I think that's really cool. Before, excursions were just random. And I think it was mostly like freelance workers, which, if there was one thing that annoyed me in TEW 2016, it was freelance workers. They seem to be just gone now, and I'm completely okay with that. 100%. 100% okay with that. So there's more relationship stuff for companies and how they work out. I think that's pretty nice. I've still had the companies who are just like, they hate me, and they just where is it? They'll just not want to be my friends. There was one of them that had it a while back where they were like, we don't like you. And then they might have actually gotten rid of it. So, but I can spend all day talking about some of these things. Tournaments, big plus. Love how this is done and set up for us. This block right here is just so much stuff in one little area without categorizing it. And it just, I don't know, some of the stuff just feels a little offbeat, compared to 2016. I'm like management, creative, external, all that stuff, finance section, all that. Like, I just wish it was kind of sectioned off better here. Ultimately, it just feels like a lot of stuff in one little area. I'm going to try to limit how many times I say I need to be able to scroll, but this is another one of those areas where, like, I need to be able to scroll right here, and you can just see the assistants telling me all the problems. Like, I should be able to get rid of some of these. Like, we need 20 active wrestlers, and at the moment we have 38, therefore we're safe. That needs to go away. I've been playing, like I said, from the very first day in January to the very first day in March, when the game tells you that you can't continue anymore, and that's still there. And if I'm going into, say, 5 years in the future, I need to be able to, get rid of that. Like, I clearly I've gotten the deal, the hang of that. Ticket prices are pretty cool. You can check ticket prices of what stuff you want them to charge. Merchandising is really cool. Gimmicks are set up differently. I feel like that's something to talk about. There is no defined, you can get some inspiration, but there's no, like, hey, it's more of like this little slider, and it'll be like how he's running it. So that's something to go way more in depth of. It's really cool, but yeah, I think it'll take a little bit used to. I think this is one of those things where some stuff is like simplified in the game, and some stuff is more convoluted, which is weird to say. This more simplistic. I enjoy this. Gimmicks, I think, was a thing that needed to be simplified, because I could just really be lazy and be like, whatever, use the default gimmick. This actually, I can like tweak it to like the side, and then get inspiration on only stuff that they work for in disposition, and I like it. I like it a lot better, honestly. So that's pretty cool there. TEW 2020 ultimately, I feel like, is not more user friendly or easy to jump into, because as someone who's played a lot of the TEW games and EWR, for me personally, it's a very big learning curve. And for someone who's never played before, I see it can be very standoffish and very wordy and a lot of text and very intimidating. For instance, ROH is a company where I found out that it's way better just to go and pre-book. And I'll use this example here. If we go to my expenditures, the first month of show cost and production through the roof. Now, I did do one show live, and then I pre-booked 4 other shows. So technically, I booked for the March show, like first week show also. So I did 5 shows. And even then, my expenditures for show cost and production was a lot less. And that's where I learned, like, pre-booking, pre-taping is going to be really cool. Sorry to say pre-taping. Pre-taping is really fun. Being able to modify it and have 4 shows at a time. So you would book the match card for the first show, get done, do the match card for the second show, then third, then the fourth, and then you'd have 4 weeks off, and you go to the next one, you do it for the next 4, or whenever the next pay-per-view, or if you have a different event or different TV show that you'll tape in advance for too. So taping, it's wonderful, it's amazing. Another major positive about this, I think taping will be another big thing. Cinematic matches, from what I've messed around with, some people may be disappointed. I personally did not have any luck with it. I did it with WWE between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, 2 of the biggest names. They were all stars, and they just couldn't pull it off. And when you guys are like all stars and all that, their perceptions are major stars. There's no pushes anymore. That is the biggest drawback of TEW 2020, without a doubt. Everything else I could overlook. Anything like a little wordy or kind of a little hard to navigate, all that stuff I can get used to. Pushes is the one thing that I think even a while down the line, I'll still be like, it's weird. Perception, I understand it. I know why they did it. Saying that, yes, I'm pushing Guy as a main eventer, but the fans are viewing Roman Reigns as not the star, even though the game in itself, I think, will still show him as a star, So it's weird, because even though you could have been pushing him as a main eventer, and he'd still become a main eventer. Whereas if you're shoving him down everyone's throat as a star, will he start to go down and whatnot? I think that's a thing that I will look more into for the full review, and as an overall how perception works. I am not shooting the perception and just putting it down on a rival or hating it or whatever. I think honestly, full game, that's going to be something to really see how that pans out, because I was pushing Austin Aries down people's throat without straight up making my world champion, and he did come out as a star when before he was recognizable. So I could see he was already starting to go up there. I had him lose a couple matches to kind of cool him down, and momentum's nice. It's really helpful. Pushes, I feel like they just need to be here. I feel like it's just integral in what has made TEW and great, and just more like easier to jump into, because when it's like, okay, I'm going to book 2 main eventers and boom. Now, if I'm starting off here and I have no stars, the person who's completely new to this game is going to be like, okay, everybody's like unimportant, and then like 5 guys are recognizable. But then on unimportant is like Roman Reigns or something. I don't know. I'm just giving a name, and you're like, well, that guy seems like more of a person I put in the main event, but then he's not a star. So then, do I do recognizable? I think that's where people would be confused, because that guy who's unimportant could probably put on a better rating. you know? So, but the same could be said for mid-carders and all that, depending on the product. Boom, segue. Another big positive, in my opinion, some people may disagree actually, is the products. There's a ton of products in this game, and boy, are they freaking amazing. We're just going to go down a couple of them. You guys can see, and there's a fancy little list of showing like what the products can do, what they should and shouldn't do. I love them. I think, I wasn't crazy about making my own product, but dang, it feels so good. It feels so good. And there's even like a search screen for products. Like, it feels so good. I love the little product screen here. It's so much fun. You can change technical and rudos. You can loosely enforce the face and heel divides. Shout out to my boy Mike, bro. We need tweeners. I think we still need tweeners. It's been a while since we've had them. Product, it's freaking amazing. You can have wrestlers promise to lose to people. That's great. I think ultimately with TEW 2020, guys, there's a lot more positives with this game than negatives. There are some big negatives, I'm not going to lie, such as, in my opinion, the push thing. And just maybe the UI for some people. I think it boils down to some major positives, some things that are really cool that have done better, some stuff that's like, okay, it's still the same thing, some things that people may be opinionated on, be like, okay, I prefer this, but then some people prefer this, and then people that, more likely will agree that, hey, it's a negative that this isn't offered, even if pushes aren't an integral part because of having the perceptions. I think it would still be cool to have it there as a guide to booking, essentially, of like, okay, and we're gonna jump into the booking screen here before we end it off, to see like how we can kind of guide it to book them. So there's that, guys. Other things to show off here, without just overly throwing too much stuff at you guys. Stables, another major massive thing. You can add some pictures to them. I will never stop just loving the stable thing, and when we start getting crazy and custom pictures, stable's amazing. Stables are freaking amazing. Brand splits, I feel like have gone up and down. Up because of the more brands and the shake it ups and all that, but it's also gone down because of just the how hard it is to move people over now. It's not like, I particular would do the main eventers and then upper mid carders and all that. Now it's like all stars or major stars, but there would be like 3 people right now for me, so it's like, it's kind of hard. So but now we're going to jump into the PM side of things and show you guys that very interesting screen. Here we are, guys, at the PM screen here. Backstage Incidents, for the most part, they've just been like the same. I haven't seen any like different ones. It's still been the world's sneakiest fart, wanting to fight people, wrestlers court with not picking up tabs or being late or whatever. I wish there had been more stuff for that, because that stuff's kind of enjoyable. You can medal, and now you have like, more likely and what type of chance to create the bonds because of their personality attributes. I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention switching between players. For people who play multiplayer, you're gonna love that a lot. You have the breakdown here for the venues. Still pretty much the same thing here as before. India is a game region. I don't know why I'm just not mentioning that. I mean, I don't think I personally would ever book it. And oddly enough, like, I don't know, maybe Rinka King or Cornell people probably get the most like use out of it. It might be a fun thing to do, like WWE India, but there's that. So we're going to go through here and we're going to just auto book the show, and we're going to let the game auto book it. And now the auto booker here is a little interesting. Oh, wait, I think the game actually yelled there. Please define update 20 seconds. Yeah, I need a road agent. Same thing here, by the way, for local workers. You can go through, you can add the local worker, you can say, hey, I need a road agent, and then you give him the whatever for show, make offer, boom, there you go. But I really want to show off you guys another major positive with also kind of like the negative here to it also. So we start the show off here, and boom, and we can see already this is already like a little rough on the ratings. Now these guys kind of bottom tier people maybe, so maybe that's why. But you can see crowd, we're not buying into a young lion like Simon Miller defeating El Phantasmo. There's some more stuff there with the road agent reports, more stuff on the dirt sheet, talking about like injuries and whatnot. We can also return to the booking screen. That's not good, getting injured. So, and there's also heat. Here's why I injured you. So yeah, booking on the fly, or like after something this happens, you can go and just rewrite the whole card. That is awesome. I think that is amazing. Like another major positive about the game. But while I'm showing you this positive, I'm kind of showing you like a negative too. And you guys can go along here and see that like the way that it's rating things, I'm not booking like, what this would be is like a regional company in TEW 2016, and it's not doing good at all with anything. Like the Walter and Matt Seidel segment, none of this stuff. I mean, the game's very much tweaked for Cornellverse. So I think mod makers will have the hardest time there. So, you know, just keep that in mind, guys. If you're playing modded saves can work, but in what degree, and even converting older saves from 2013 or 2010 to 2013 to 2016 to 2020, there's going to be even more problems. Whereas I feel like if you did that from 2010 to 2013 to 2016, you didn't have many problems at all doing stuff. 2020 is much different because of how it feels like it's grading these people. And look at overall rating here. That's technically a positive show with the overall rating of 27 and the +1 in the region. Now, the reason behind that is because it's looking at my popularity for the company, and because my popularity for Defiant is in the 20s, it's viewing that as a positive, so I'll actually get the positive out of it. And yeah, it's something weird to get used to, that like low grades may actually be like a positive for you, so keep that stuff in mind. I didn't give away too much of the match screen and whatnot. It's pretty much the same for booking angles and matches. The only difference is that freestyle angles don't have a button now, and cinematic matches and stuff like that is going to be done through like how you add the hardcore matches and stuff like that for custom matches. So there's nothing to really show off there, guys. But ultimately, this has been a long video talking about TEW 2020 demo, and guys, it's gonna take a while to get used to. It's gonna be a learning curve. The game, I would not say it's dead on arrival, or we're in procrastination mode, or give up on the game. It's only been a few days of the demo. Yes, I see the criticism of the game had been worked on for years, and there were testers who probably should have picked up certain things. However, now there's a massive open forum of people who play the games in so many massive directions, whether it's people who just sandboxing it or historical doing stuff, making their own mods. Now it's opened up to a massive playing field a week before the game drops. So there's hopefully going to be a lot of fixes to this. So yeah, I've showed you some ups, I've showed you some downs for the game essentially. And I'll let you guys decide as always. I've given you some opinions on the game. Ultimately, as we get closer, I'll be doing some more stuff for the game, more tutorials, knocking out stuff, helping you guys out, helping myself out. And when the full game drops and I play through with my own little save in my free time, and then I'll give my full review on the game of what I think. You guys know I love TEW, but I'm going to be honest with it. Jumping from 2013 to 2016, it's really simple, really easy, good to get into, and I think it was really easy for new people to get into. 2020, I don't think it's going to be good for new people to jump into. I think they're going to have a lot of problems with it. It's been quoted as the most user-friendly and easiest to jump into. I would disagree. I would respectfully disagree there. That does not make it a bad game, though. I think this game will be more for the veterans and people wanting to play the heck out of this game. Casuals probably will have a hard time with this game, not going to lie. But with that being said, if you haven't played 2016 before, it's probably going to end up on Steam very soon, and going on sale. And I'd imagine, there's always that. There's a ton of different games. You can even try out EWR and TEW 2005 because they're free. So there's a ton of products out there for you guys to choose from. And this is just a new product. And like I said in the video, you'll be able to see really that your money's being used towards a whole new game, not just a game plus a little bit new stuff. Because let's be honest, when you look at a 2K game, you get a new roster and just a little bit new things here and there. This was reworked, in a big way. I feel like it still keeps a lot of the fundamental things. Sadly and annoyingly, it does remove some things, but I think they'll get added back in. Pushes, sadly, I don't think. I hope. Probably not, because it's just another UI thing to add in, or who knows. But like scroll wheel, as much as we're all really mad about that, I think that'll probably get implemented or fixed or whatever, hopefully. So that's that, guys. One really long overview of TEW 2020 demo. I'm gonna get some sleep. Everybody stay safe. Hope you're all doing well, and just keep it good. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace out.